Hola, buenos días.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches.
This is Barb.
And this is Estela.
And welcome to
Cafecito.
And Crime.
And Matcha.
Yes. Okay, so I want you to tell our listeners que ya te pagué el café de la semana pasada.
Okay, yeah. So last weekend...
last week. Last episode.
Last episode. It wasn't like una bet or anything like that. It was just something that we said, because
You turned it into a fucking bet and
No,
you
I
made me buy
didn't.
you coffee. Yes, you did.
No, you said, okay, I'll buy you a coffee. I was like, okay. So
It is recorded.
So, yeah.
I could go back and listen to the episode.
The fun, random, interesting... No, it wasn't the fun, random, interesting fact.
Sí era, güey. The fun, random, interesting fact era...
About North Carolina and South Carolina. No, okay. The only thing that we said was that, in South Carolina, we asked cuál era el mejor fun, random, interesting fact. The mosquitoes and their big ass street in South Carolina, or...
It wasn't that way.
No, espérate. I have a story, pues.
Tiene un story, pues, ándale.
Story time. Y ya luego, or the Eng and Chang brothers, the first Siamese twins, or, that gained fame, that, were buried in North Carolina.
Sí.
But then throughout the case, we started talking about, I think, Mr. Charles, el que era novio de Miss Dale Hall. Yeah. Y que era muy sospechoso that he was washing his truck at night. It wasn't like him. And then me and you started talking about
because I thought that it wasn't something normal for people to do.
I was like, it's hot. And it was in July.
So then
we had a comment.
Thank you so much to
our listener. She left us a comment on Spotify.
I wish I would have known who it was, pero thank you so much for that.
Oh, I can pull it up. I'll tell you what it says.
And tell and read it out loud. That way everybody can hear. Sí. And then Estela was like, see, you owe me a coffee.
No.
Sí,
no. I'll pull up the receipts.
Okay, well,
I'll pull up the receipts.
So then I was like, you know what? I want matcha. Because there's a place by my house. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of
Okay, so this is our listener. I don't know if I can say her name or not, so I'm not going to say it. But she said, hola, y'all have been to Colombia, because we didn't know we had been to Colombia, and we have, for a case that you did for Samantha Josephson, that she's the one that got abducted. She got into the wrong shared app.
The
wrong Uber, right? So, okay, so...
Thank you for reminding me.
Yes. So... she's our commenter or our listener said, definitely right about those mosquitoes. They don't give a fuck, LOL, because I'm sure they don't. And said, people do wash their cars and cut grass at night because it's so hot and humid.
Yes. So then this hoe.
No, I didn't.
Anyway, point of the story is, some way or somehow, la güey me dijo que le tenía que comprar un café.
Yeah.
And then right now, I told her, let's go get matcha, because there's a place here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what place because they're not sponsoring me. Pero anyway.
You like their strawberry matcha.
I like their strawberry matcha. So I've been to different places to try strawberry matcha. First of all, I wanted to say this, and I will say this out loud, and I don't give a fuck who anybody...
Oh, no, espérame. I sent you a screenshot of the comment, and then I said, told you. And then you said, fine, you win, buy me a coffee.
I asked you for coffee, pendeja.
Yeah, I know.
And then you ended up buying me coffee. I ended up buying you coffee.
I know.
Anyway, point of the story was que...
That was my whole plan all along.
Yeah. So then what happened was que le dije a Estela, ¿sabes qué? Le dije, I've been having a long day, which it wasn't that bad of a day because I was off today. Yeah. Pero let me tell you, I went to go watch Lilo and Stitch and I cried the whole fucking movie. That is a good movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. You would think that you would be like, oh, I remember this from the cartoon, pero nada que ver con la cartoon. It's way better. It explains a lot better. It's a lot more put together.
It's not a remake. It's like an adaptation of the...
It's so much... It's more complete, like in a way of the whole movie itself. So it was good. But anyway, so then le dije yo a Estela, vamos a traer matcha. Y Estela me dice, bueno, si yo manejo, o sea, me, Barb, if I drive, she would pay. But if she would drive, I would pay.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, Alex has my truck because my son is in
swimming
classes. So I was like, you know what? No, le dije, ¿sabes qué? No, mejor tú maneja y yo pago. So that's what happened. Y no, y la güey se ordenó un big ass large iced coffee.
Pues sí, iba a aprovechar.
Pero espérate, güey. Y luego we were cool. I was cool with that. But before we got there, I was like, Estela, don't forget to get decaf.
No, I said I was going to get decaf anyway because I'm trying to sleep tonight. And you know what I did? I didn't order
a large non-decaf.
Yeah,
Okay.
so ya vali verga because I'm not going to sleep tonight. But it's okay.
Si oyen mi matcha, I mean, I'm sorry, but it changed. Like, it'll literally...
Oh, and
it's the best.
If y'all hear the ice, sorry, because I think I've heard that people get annoyed by, like, when people drink on podcasts and you can hear it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if they can hear the ice... Because usually we have hot coffee in the mornings, pero como ya es tardecita, it's iced. So, and it's fucking hot here, so...
Yeah, and I wanted... matcha.
But anyways, so that was that. And then,
so that's been settled.
And then now on the podcast, we have chapters. So you can listen to the intro. If you want to fast forward past the intro, straight to the case, straight to the fun, random, interesting fact, you can.
Why would you not want to listen to my pendejadas?
You know, some people just want to get straight to business, you know?
But if you don't want to listen to my pendejadas, you can. You have that option.
Yeah, you have options, which is what, you know, what matters. But let's get started.
Oh, wait, before we do that, I want y'all to know something else. I got a new chair.
Oh, yeah.
So I got a new chair because my desk chair. So the owner of the company that I work for, we were over there and my medical assistant friend was like, hey, you know what? We need chairs. So then she's like, hey, would you buy us chairs? And she's like, yeah, that was Friday. I received mine on Saturday.
Oh, bam. She got it like that?
Yeah, she has it like that.
Okay.
So then I was like, okay, Bessie, I see you. And so then I had to get rid of my other chair, which I really wanted to anyway.
I was going to say, give it to Randy.
What?
The chair.
This one?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to use it in here because it is so much comfortable.
No, but now, you know, now that I know that you can. Okay.
But yeah, so 2 things that you're getting out of here.
You can spin.
Yeah, I can spin. So 2 things you're getting out of this unnecessary conversation. I got matcha, strawberry matcha, and I have a new chair.
And you have chapters on the cases now, moving forward.
You will have chapters. Si no queso y mis mamadas, you can go ahead and do that.
Okay.
So if you would like to, where are we going today?
For today's case, we're going to Peoria, Arizona.
I don't know about Peoria. I don't know. Peoria. Peoria. No, you can't even say that 3 times.
You just did.
Fast. A ver.
Ándale.
No puedo.
See? You did it right now.
No puedo, compa.
Peoria.
Okay. All right. So if you'd like to come with us.
It's all this caffeine.
It's all the caffeine. She has it all together. So if you'd like to come with us to Peoria, ¿dónde?
Arizona.
If you would like to come with us to Peoria, Arizona, you can grab your cafecito or your matcha.
And let's get started. All right. That's how it goes?
Yep.
Okay. So the fun, random, interesting fact is that in 1956, Peoria was named the rose capital of the world.
Rose.
Yeah.
Not road. Rose.
Okay. Una rosa. By whom or why? ¿Quién sabe?
Nobody will ever know.
Did it have to do with roses? I'm assuming.
Hopefully. But we did know about the soda city or the soda pop or what
Colombia.
was it? No había sodas.
Yeah.
So you never know. Maybe no había roses.
Yeah, quién sabe. Maybe it was a famous rose.
Yeah.
From Titanic.
Oh, yeah.
So that's that. It was in 1956, though. So it's been a while, you know?
Almost 70 years.
Yeah. Number 2 is that Peoria, Arizona got its name from Illinois.
Really?
Yes, because there is a Peoria, Illinois. When I was searching up Peoria, primero me salía Illinois.
Not the Salía. Wow. Primero le salía.
Yeah, primero me salía Illinois. And I was like, why? But then when I was like, you know, me decía que that's where it got its name, pues. Because...
So son copycatters, basically.
No. Oh. Because 4 families in Peoria, Illinois were recruited to move to the West around the 1880s.
Okay.
And they were like, hey, we need people. Vénganse. And then y'all could name it after your hometown.
Oh, okay.
So they moved to the area that is now...
So si vienen, you can have the name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we just need people to settle.
Okay, I see you.
Yeah, so por eso...
No trademark.
No TM.
No TM. Mm-hmm.
So luego, pues por eso, you know, that's why it's named after Illinois. So si les, you know, because they came from over there.
They did move then.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So those are the fun, random, interesting facts
that was
about
very
Peoria,
interesting.
Arizona.
Mean, you know, sometimes it's hard to find interesting fun random facts.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about the murder of Noor Almaleki. And
you just picked all the names today, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just realized that. Mm-hmm.
And it's sad. I mean, like we always said, every case is just tragic, sad, and you never think that this would come from your own fucking family, or that it would be your own family,
from another human.
Yeah,
it's like,
but it's sad. It's more sad that it would comes from somebody that. I mean, bitch, you guys are related. Like what?
Yeah, but no, it happens all the time.
Yeah, sadly,
yeah.
Now, Noor, which means light in Arabic. Almaleki was born on February 18th of 1989 in Iraq to parents Falah and Seham Almaleki. She was the oldest of 7 children, and her family left, I think the city that they lived in was Basra, Iraq, when she was 4, and they moved to Glendale, Arizona in the early or mid 1990s.
Crazy, like just Glendale, Arizona. Was there something that like connected?
It is reported that they were granted asylum.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So they were probably like, you can be here, or
I just don't know how they get placed. I don't know how that works. Yeah, but it wasn't just them. Like family members de por sí ya lo se vinieron.
Okay.
And they were granted asylum because they fled the regime of Saddam Hussein.
Okay.
So Falah and Seham did well to support the family. He was a truck driver, and Seham worked as an interpreter for the U.S. military.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to be an interpreter. I could get all the tea.
I remember when I was in college, I have a bachelor's in criminal justice. So I remember they were like, you have to be 23 to join the FBI. And they said that one requirement that would make them hire you on the spot is if you spoke Arabic.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
But dude, like, honestly, like, even if you want to be a translator, like, in the medical field, I tried.
Or like Spanish. It's really hard. It's not really just as easy as somebody would think it is.
And then, like, our Spanish, que está todo mucho la chingada, it's
not proper.
It's not proper, pero, like, how do you say certain body parts in Spanish, and it's like, translate them to Español.
I mean, and even the, like, medical terms that are even hard to pronounce in English. Imagine trying to do that in Spanish.
My favorite is resonancia. Resonancia.
¿Qué es eso?
Like an MRI and an X-ray, I think.
Oh, I think.
Pero resonancia, so don't quote me on that. Pero like, I'm like, dude, what the heck? Like, this is crazy. But you have to go through like training and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean that's crazy. That's awesome. And the thing that she was able to be able to be a
for the U.S. military?
No. Not only that, but be able to be it in English too. Like she knew both languages that well that she could do that. That's awesome.
Amal Khalaf, who is also a big part of this case, and her family were also from Iraq. I believe they were actually from the same city as the Almalekis, and they too moved to the U.S. in 1993. Mm-hmm. So some reports state that the Almalekis and the Khalafs knew each other before coming to the U.S., and others say that they met while in the U.S., so I'm not really sure what the truth is there.
So maybe some people say que a lo mejor ya se conocían cuando estaban allá. Okay.
But now in Arizona, the families lived near each other and were friends. And Amal sometimes would babysit for Almalekis when Seham was working. So though the families had a lot in common, they did have a big difference. Specifically, the way that they were raising their children. Amal was raising her children more in the Western culture, while the Almalekis were trying to raise their children in the traditional Iraqi culture and values. Noor was described as a typical American teenager. She was a beautiful girl, upbeat, good-natured, loyal, and so she had many friends, and she had great hair.
Oh, my, can just imagine.
Yeah, which she kept always looking perfect. And one of her friends is like, she had a lot of hair. She used all the hairspray, girl, her hair.
Can't relate. Yo tengo 3 putos pelos. 3. Like, I hate that shit, man.
She also had these beautiful dark features. She had like beautiful dark eyes that stood out when she would do her makeup, especially her eyeshadow. And Heather Gooding was a friend of Noor, and the two met their junior year at Dysart High School in 2006, said that Noor was also very independent and that she couldn't wait to move out, have her own space, and live her own life.
Like, she wanted to be out
her own person, yeah. So Heather recalls how strict Noor's dad was, Falah. When she'd go over to the Almalekis' home, she wasn't allowed upstairs in Noor's room. They had to stay downstairs. Noor was barely allowed to go hang out with Heather, and when she did, she had like a time limit.
Wow.
Her parents relied heavily on her to take care of the family and help with like domestic responsibilities while they worked. She had to be at home She had to be at home at all times for the most part. She had to cook and clean and look after her siblings. But Heather noticed how differently Noor's brothers were treated in contrast to her. The boys were giving more liberty and appeared to be treated with more respect. Especially,
but that happens a lot. I mean, we, in our community, también. In the Latin community, it happens a lot. You can see when you're like, oh, we can see who the sons is, and you know the difference. Like que está, sí se ve la diferencia. And even though like I try my best not to do that, pero because I'm an older, like I'm a younger.
Well, you're first generation,
you know?
Here.
Pero
American.
like my parents, like no, it's a whole difference. Like
story.
My dad,
but even then, you had mostly sisters, so it's not you had one
but
brother.
I can see the difference with my brother and me.
Yeah,
like the expectations of what my dad wants from me than
and
for
your
my brother then are different. You know, if my brother does something, he just like, oh, you know, it's a different expectation. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes.
See, but my sister had all boys. But I'm lucky I have one of one, so I'm able to be like, no, everybody is 50-50 here.
Tú lávame los platos, tú ponte a lavar la ropa.
No, uno pone los platos y el otro seca los platos.
Yeah.
And they go like that because también, pero they act like I'm asking them to paint the house from the outside in the
in
100-degree weather. Yeah. They're like, you want me to do what? I'm like, bitch, there's 3 fucking vasijas. It's not that big of a deal.
There's 3 cups.
3 cups. And they're all used by them. You know?
Put them in the dishwasher.
That's all you have to do. You're not even turning on the water, bro. You're just putting them in there. Pero para ellos ya los estoy matando.
So especially Ali, the second oldest of the Almalekis, and Ali was the oldest boy, but he was still younger than Noor. So Ali was like 19, 18 months younger than her sister. So Noor was not allowed to do many things, and she thought it was unfair. As Heather stated, she was very independent, and while she didn't want to disrespect her parents, she also wasn't going to let them suppress her in the way that she wanted to live her life.
And that's the thing, like, it gets to a point where the daughter's like, I'm going to stand up for myself. And that's when the problems start. Because hay unas muchachas que no se dan cuenta that they're just kind of like, you know, whatever. It's the same. My parents are going to tell me what to do, whatever. I just do it. But then there's some other, they're like, no, why are you telling me and not telling him? You see what I'm saying? So that it makes it even worse.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Or more hard.
More hard.
Or harder.
Harder.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
In her case, you know, she wanted to live her life more along the lines of the American culture, which her dad did not approve of. So like you were saying, this caused a lot of fights within the family.
Friction is what they would say.
Yes. Again, according to Heather, when she would visit Noor, there was always an argument between she and her dad. Falah wanted to dictate Noor's life. He didn't want her to wear makeup. He didn't like the clothes that she wore. They were too tight for him. He didn't want her to go out, and Noor would defend herself and her choices. From what Heather had witnessed, she never saw her mom, Siham, try and step in defense of her daughter.
That would never happen.
I mean, and she also grew up in Iraq, you know, so those, I think
she's used to it. That's what I'm saying.
Her,
like,
you know?
that's what they're used to. That's my deal. Like, if it was a woman or a girl that was kind of like, okay, I'll just take it or whatever. It's just my parents. Let me just get out of here. Pero then
I have to respect them,
whatever. Pero luego it starts getting bad cuando la muchacha's kind of like, no me voy a dejar.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna say something, and then that's when things start getting a little bit more heated.
Spicy,
you know? Yeah.
Another thing Falah was strictly against was Noor having any sort of relationship with other males.
I mean,
she couldn't be friends with them, and especially not date them. Noor began to date Marwan, Amal's son. So remember, Amal is la otra señora que también was from Iraq. They were about the same age, and so she began to spend more time with the Khalafs and growing closer to them. She actually grew really close to Amal and confided in her about the issues that she was having at home with her parents. Remember, Amal was raising her children in the American culture. So Noor must have felt that Amal could understand her, where she was coming from, you know, and felt that maybe she had somebody in her corner because her parents weren't seeing where she was coming from, and Amal como que sí, you know. But as her relationship with the Khalafs strengthened, the one with her family was fast deteriorating. Even more so when Falah learned that Noor was dating Marwan. He became enraged. So in February of 2009, Noor got into another argument with her parents, and she had just had enough, and so she moved out. And by this point, she was already 20.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was my next question. Is she already, how old is she?
She moved into an apartment with a friend, began to attend the community college in Glendale, Arizona, and got a job at an Applebee's.
So at this point, like, as a parent, normally you would just be like, okay, ya se salió de mi casa, I'm going to leave her alone. Let's just try to get along, whatever. But some people don't think that way.
No.
You know, obviously. Sometimes.
Especially when they come from, you know, somebody's religion or their core values or their beliefs that they're so ingrained in them that they're like, I don't know.
They don't know any better.
Yeah, and you know.
And they believe wholeheartedly que eso es lo correcto. Like, there's no way that anybody could take that away from them.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, right now you're telling me this and I'm like, okay, entonces ella ya se mudó. She's showing her parents that she can be independent.
But I'm sure
so
her parents were
like
pissed off.
Yes, girl. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Otros parents, they're like, oh man, you know, that's good for my daughter. I'm happy for her.
But it's just that in allá, like where they're from, that doesn't happen. They don't do that.
Especially a female and then getting a job and then moving out with someone else that you don't know.
That's not your husband. Yeah. So she also created a page for herself on exploretalent.com that showcased aspiring models, actors, that kind of thing, musicians, dancers. And she posted pictures of herself. But they were like headshots.
No, pero es que eso está.
Yeah. And she was trying to, she was hoping to find modeling gigs, you know? So not long after Noor had established herself away from her family, both of her parents showed up at her job several times or several instances and began to harass her, telling her that she shouldn't be working, especially not at a place that served alcohol. Like, that was like a big issue.
And that makes sense, but it's not like she's drinking it.
And they were telling her, you don't belong here, you belong at home with us.
¿Y que limpiando nada más o qué? Y cuidando los guaches.
Yeah. And this continuous harassment eventually caused Noor to quit her job.
Oh my gosh, pobrecita.
So now with no job and no way to pay her bills or her apartment, she was left with no choice but to move back in with her family.
That sucks.
That's hard. And I'm sure it must have been exhausting because Noor, she didn't want to be fighting with her family, you know?
It's not. You know, and
especially your parents.
We've all been in a situation like that. Not only you, me, whoever's listening. We've all been in a situation where no nos llevamos, we don't hit, ¿cómo se le dice? No se miran eye to eye with your parents or whatever.
Heads.
You're butting heads, right? Pero it is so exhausting to where you don't even want to go home sometimes, you know? And so then pobrecita to where now she feels like, man,
there's no other place I can go but home.
Yeah. And so that they made her feel like she needed to leave her job. And now she's back at their house and they're going to be like, okay, see, we told you so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so imagine how she felt as a girl that is trying to be independent.
Yeah.
That must have been horrible.
And she was just tired of the whole, the arguing was exhausting. And I guess she still kind of felt some sort of duty towards them. And so I guess not to...
I mean, it's because everybody always tells you, it's your parent, it's your parent.
So respect your parent.
But it's like sometimes you're not even disrespecting them. It's just that they don't want to hear what you are saying, or they're not on your same page.
Yeah.
And that makes you a bad person.
Yeah.
But you're not. You're just like, I'm not trying. I'm just trying to live my life like her. She's just trying to sit there and trabajar y
go
hacer
to
sus
school.
cosas.
Yeah. So to not make things worse, she conceded and told him that she just wasn't going to be seeing Marwan anymore.
Pobre Marwan también.
So months passed, and while Noor wasn't dating Marwan anymore, things didn't get any better tampoco.
I mean, ¿qué querían pues?
In June 2009, the family had the biggest argument to date. It got so bad that Noor left the home and went to sleep in Amal's van.
Wow.
Yeah. And the following morning, Amal found her, and she explained what had happened the night before, including that her dad had hit her.
Damn.
And so Amal took her in, and when the Almalekis found out, of course, they didn't approve of it.
No, because
they were very upset.
Now she's living en la casa con el guy that she used to date. Or
Y piensan que Amal anda sonsacando, la anda alborotando. So Noor began to date Marwan again.
I mean, it was bound to happen. That's all.
They like it. They're 20. Like,
yeah, like
they're okay.
They can do that.
They have, things in common. They came from Iraq, so.
And he might be more understanding of her situation because of the fact that,
and then, Amal, she likes her. I mean, her families knew each other. So, they had a good relationship. And when she started dating him again, her parents found out, and it was considered the ultimate insult to them. So much so that they considered the Khalafs their enemies.
What? Not the enemies. I can see how that could happen, though. I can see how they can think that way, you know?
Yeah. Especially when you think that you're the only one that's right.
No, not only that, but they also probably in their mind, they're like, they're enabling her to do whatever. Exactamente.
Yeah. Falah threatened Noor and told her that if she didn't leave the house and return home, something bad was going to happen.
What the fuck? But
Noor stood her ground and didn't return home.
No.
In August...
At this point, she's like, what, 21 already?
No, she turned 20 in February.
Okay.
So she's 20.
She's 20 still.
So right now is the summer. So in August, Falah and Saham, still fuming that they hadn't gotten Noor to move back home, showed up at Amal's house.
Oh, shit. They're doing this
again.
En la
madrugada, güey. It was 1 a.m.
¿Y qué querían?
Demanding that Noor return home. Hicieron un escándalo.
Yo lo que quiero saber es que esas personas no duermen o qué. Like, estaban acostados, let's say, te acuestas como a las 6.
No, but he was a truck driver. A lo mejor llegó.
Okay, let's say, because yo lo que pienso es así, mira. Yo pienso, okay, te acuestas como a las 9. ¿Ya? Vamos a decir. Me, because I go to sleep at 9. I'm not gonna lie. I'm an early sleeper. Se acuesta uno con 10 o 11, te quedas quedando dormido. Y luego te ves y volteas y le dices a tu mujer, oye, vieja, como que vamos allá a la casa del vecino a joder, ¿no?
Yeah.
Y entonces...
¿Sabes qué me acordé?
Me acordé que
que aquí no está Noor.
A la 1 de la mañana. ¿Sabes qué? Es la 1.
A lo mejor soñó. He's like, let's go get her.
Let's go get her. Like, what was the thought process of people like that? I don't understand. So, ¿por qué no se esperaron hasta el siguiente día? Like, hay que dormirnos, mañana vamos.
Estaban llenos de coraje que no los dejaban dormir. El coraje no los dejaba dormir.
Yo no creo que sea la mamá, se me hace que es el papá. Porque la mamá, she probably just going with him porque pues qué chinga.
She's supposed to follow what her husband says. Yeah.
Pero es like, oye vieja, ¿sabes qué? Me acabo de acordar que pues aquella toda la muchacha no está aquí. Hay que ir por ella a la 1 de la mañana. Like, what the fuck?
If you haven't gotten her to move back home, before this.
If you wait till tomorrow, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be okay.
Hasta que salga el sol.
Like something.
So, like I said, they weren't quiet about it either. Armaron un escándalo. They made a scene, pounding on the door and screaming. So, le hablaron a la policía,
Ay, no. Qué vergüenza para la muchacha, dude.
When officers arrived, Falah told them that he was there to get his daughter back. He also essentially stated that the United States law didn't pertain to him.
Why?
I'm not really sure what else Falah was told by the officers, and I'm assuming that since Noor was of age, she was 20, she was not a minor, he couldn't make her do anything.
And that's why he said that, probably. He was like...
Well, in my culture, probably something along those lines.
I'm not American, so it doesn't matter what you say.
Well, I mean...
Pero you're in America.
And they all became citizens.
So guess what?
Yeah,
the law pertains to you too, buddy.
So he said something along the lines of that he would rather spend the rest of his life in jail than let his daughter live with the Khalafs.
Wow.
So things remained strained between Noor and her family for the following months until things came to a head. A deadly one.
Oh, I can tell.
So on October 20th of 2009, Noor accompanied Amal.
This is all in the same fucking year, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is like...
And then we learned that the issues started... I mean, they had been bad for a while. Remember cuando Heather decía, and they were friends in high school, like...
Yeah, pero I think la muchacha at the same time...
Entre más crecía, más she wanted,
Oh, my God. Pobrecita.
Again, on October 20th, 2009, Noor accompanied Amal to the DES, which is the Department of Economic Security Office. Since Amal had recently moved, she needed to update that information for her welfare benefits. And since her English wasn't the best, Noor fue con ella to help her translate. At around 1:18 p.m., she sent her friend Ushna Khan a text saying, quote, "Dude, I'm so scared. Shit. At the welfare place, and guess who walks in? My dad. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I'm so shaky."
Pobrecita.
End quote. So by this point, Noor hadn't seen her dad since she moved out of the house.
Yeah.
So
and then besides, a la 1 de la mañana cuando se acordó el señor.
I don't think que salió ella.
A lo mejor no salió. Yeah, you're right.
So Ushna responds, quote, "Holy shit, did he see you?" And Noor responded, quote, "I don't think so. His fat ass is right by the door, so I can't even leave. I'm laughing like a crazy person. I hate when this happens to me. I know I shouldn't have woken up."
Pobrecita.
Ushna responded, quote, "Oh dear, that's awkward. What's up with your parents anyway?" And Noor wrote, quote, "My dad is a manipulative asshole. I've honestly never met anyone with so much evil," end quote.
I can imagine.
And this text was sent like around 1:27, around 1:30 in the afternoon. So Falah had indeed walked into the DES office, and he took a number like everyone else, and he sat down near Noor and Amal.
Pero él sabía que ellas estaban ahí. I mean, and probably the
Why
mom,
would he need to be there?
The mom probably told him.
So he sat down and...
Oh, he had a question.
No, estaba sentado el señor, and he was on his phone the whole time. He was making phone calls. Because remember, it's 2009, you know?
Uh-huh.
And
no
then,
social media.
Not like that.
Not like that, yeah.
Yeah. And then he spoke to several people on the phone, and then se paró y se fue. He got up and left after a couple of minutes. So Amal had taken care of what she needed to take care of. And now that Falah had left, they felt like they could leave too, right? But they were kind of weary. They were like...
Yeah. At this point...
Sí se fue de verdad.
Se fue, está fuera esperándome. Like, I would be scared too. Shit. I would be like, can I get an escort?
Yes.
Shit.
So Amal told Noor that, you know, she would go check the outside just to see if his car was there. And...
Pobrecita. To where the mom...
Amal.
Like, Amal...
La suegra,
like,
pues, I guess. La suegra, right?
La suegra, pues.
Yeah.
Ajá. To where Amal...
Was like, I'll go check.
Yeah, because de tanto miedo que le tiene al vato este, o sea, su papá, de que, let me go and make sure. ¿Cómo se daría cuenta que she was there? I don't know.
Yeah.
Pero he probably was following them.
Well, it was like a whole community of them, you know? So we actually later find out that, like, the whole... Muslim community, like they had excommunicated Amal, like hablaban cosas de ella and stuff like that, porque pues estos andaban metiendo cizaña, everybody else talking shit about Amal and her family. So she hablaba ella and stuff like that. So, like I said, so Amal, she went to go check outside, and she inspected the main parking lot, and his car wasn't there. So they left, se salieron. And they made it to Amal's van, which was parked near the front. And Amal realized that she had locked her keys in the car. I know.
Not right now.
So
Not the keys in the car right now.
She called her
please.
son. She called her son to que le trajeran las spare keys. But he was like about 20 minutes out. Remember, it was fucking Arizona. It's fucking August. No, it's fucking October. I'm sorry. Pero
it's hot.
Caliente.
Yeah.
So Noor was thirsty. And there was like a Mexican restaurant across the parking lot. They were like, mientras vienen a tenernos la llave, like extra key, let's go grab a drink. Not like alcohol, but like just something to drink. So as the two of them walked across the parking lot.
Un agua de Jamaica.
Sí. Una limonada.
Una limonada, o puede que también podría haber
un té.
Una horchata.
Un té.
Una horchata. Pushing it with horchata.
So as they were walking across the parking lot, a silver SUV came revving in their direction and struck both of them.
No.
Witnesses immediately called 911 and waited with Amal and Noor until they arrived.
Stop.
So when officers arrived, there was a woman who appeared to have been thrown by the vehicle quite a distance, but she appeared to be conscious todavía. Conscious, yeah. And it was Amal. So Noor was laying on top of a median, or like on top of a curb. That it was on top of gravel, laying by like a little tree que estaba plantado ahí. And she was face down and had significant injuries. But fortunately, both women were still breathing.
Okay.
So paramedics arrived and transferred both victims to the nearest trauma center. Since police had their belongings or their purses, they were able to be identified by their IDs found in their wallets. And at this point, remember, Noor was 20 and Amal was 43.
Okay. So, también joven?
Sí, la señora.
Señoras de mi edad casi?
Ay, cállate.
Bitch, I'm 39, bitch.
That's 4 years away from 43.
That's still, like, I'm not, what I'm saying is she's still young.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. So witnesses on the scene told officers that what happened didn't seem to have been an accident. And so the violent crime unit was requested on the scene. So
are they at this point, they're not talking yet?
¿Quién?
The Amal and...
Well, the only one that was conscious right now was Amal.
Yes. Okay.
So no.
I guess Noor no.
Yeah. Now, as the scene was being processed, investigators noticed the tire marks on the pavement that went over the curb or over the raised median on the gravel. Quedaron las llantas imprinted. There was also a small tree that had been knocked down that was on the raised median. And remember, that's where Noor was. Now,
I'm sure there's not many trees over there.
It's like
está caliente.
Como que apenas la habían plantado, you know, those little ones? Yeah. So detectives were able to speak to 2 women who were working inside the building in a corner office that saw the whole thing happen.
Yeah, porque con las ventanas y todo.
Las ventanas abiertas, yeah. According to them, they saw the silver SUV, possibly a Jeep, come from the west side of the building. It accelerated and drove towards Noor and Amal, who were walking, and then the vehicle took a turn, like made a turn to actually hit them.
I wonder if
directly.
If they would have gone on her van.
Yes, si no se le hubieran olvidado, or she hadn't locked the key in.
You know, si se hubieran subido a la van, les iba a pegar con, a lo mejor, el carro, o a lo mejor le dio coraje verla a la muchacha con la suegra, o con la otra señora.
La ex-friend de la familia.
So, y por eso se las llevó, pero, which I'm just guessing here because I don't know if, I still don't know. I'm guessing it's the dad, but I'm just thinking in my head, like, si se hubieran ido, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Porque ella salió, checó que no estuviera su carro y todo. So, I mean, it's so crazy that happened that way, you know?
So after the SUV hit them, it went off to the side a little bit, stopped, and then left the scene.
Oh, sí se paró to make sure that they were probably...
I don't know, if maybe del impacto, he was like, oh, fuck. Y luego, pues ya mejor me voy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, none of the witnesses were able to get a driver's license number.
You mean a plate?
License plate.
You said driver's license number.
Oh, shit. Yeah, license plate number. I'm sorry. So to figure out if the accident had been one at all, investigators called an accident reconstruction expert. Based on some of the tire marks on the pavement, it let the officers know that the SUV made a sharp turn and went directly at a tree on the raised median, which is where the victims or one of the victims was when they were struck. The reconstruction of the accident also noted that the driver was going between 25 to 30 miles an hour of the time of impact. So based on the preliminary findings, it all pointed towards this being a deliberate hit and not an accident at all. Mm-hmm. 2 detectives made their way to the hospital where Amal and Noor were being treated. Amal suffered from many broken bones, including a broken, I don't know why a broken pelvis just makes me feel like I'm never going to be able to walk again or something. Mm-hmm. Ugh, I can't imagine. Femur and other injuries.
So it's because when they impacted her right, like,
well,
right
she flew.
Here. Yeah, and she flew.
She flew, yeah. Her condition was serious but stable. So, on the other hand, Noor's injuries, including several broken vertebrae, internal injuries that included brain injuries.
Man, he hit them hard.
She was in critical condition and slipped into a coma.
Oh, shit. Where was her family was there or no?
¿De quién?
De
Amal?
Yeah.
Well, this is barely when they got him to the hospital.
Okay.
So the first person detectives spoke with was Marwan, el hijo de Amal. Y el
because
novio.
He was on his way.
Yeah, y el novio de Noor. They spoke to him at the hospital. So right off the bat, he informed them that there was serious issues between the Almalekis and the Khalafs. He pointed them to look into the Almalekis as possibly being involved in what happened to his mom and his girlfriend, Noor. He added that the issues appeared in the Almalekis' family when Noor began to show disinterest in following Iraqi customs and was adapting more to the American culture, which her father heavily disapproved of, since the traditional role of an Iraqi woman is mostly confined, like I mentioned earlier, to domestic responsibilities. Mm-hmm. With this information, investigators held off notifying the Almalekis.
Oh, really?
Of what had happened to Noor. Like, right, usually they're like, oh, she's at the hospital, let's call her family. But cuando hablaron con Marwan, they were like, oh, shit, let's just wait.
Because just in case, a lo mejor si fueron ellos, para que no se vaya a ir.
Yeah, let's just wait a tag, you know?
That makes sense.
And
that's why I'm not a detective, porque I would have gone and picked everybody up.
And then the text messages that they found on her phone.
Oh, yeah, con la muchacha. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that, that solidified their decision to hold off in notifying the family. Mm-hmm. So detectives were able to speak to Amal right before she was taken into surgery.
Okay.
Which was crucial. Though a translator was able to, through a translator, she was able to tell the detectives what happened leading up to the accident, which is what I mentioned. Okay, Falah entró al 10, he sat down, he left, and then they also left, and so on. So as they were walking, according to Amal, she stated that she heard the revving engine of the vehicle and looked in the direction it was coming from, and she saw the silver SUV coming towards her, being driven by Falah Almaleki.
Oh, ella sí lo alcanzó a ver.
Sí, and according to her, he looked angry.
Oh.
And so she put her hands up to tell him to stop, but he didn't, obviously, and he struck her.
Oh, okay.
After he did so, he then took a turn towards Noor.
So after he hit her, he still...
Volteó para hit his daughter.
So the first impact wasn't her, it was... Oh,
I think they were maybe not walking so close together, se lo alcanzó a pegar la una o maybe a la otra.
Or maybe like, a mí se me hace que como que Noor estaba más apurada en llegar al restaurant because she was scared.
Maybe.
Yeah, so she was scared. So she was like, let me get into this place, but we can, look around or whatever. Yeah, you're right.
So after he struck her, after he took a turn towards Noor and struck her as well, he then went over her body with the vehicle.
Oh, shit. Yeah. He did.
Mm-hmm. And then he exited the parking lot.
Well, thank God que he didn't go over the lady también.
Amal, yeah. His motive for doing this being that he was upset that Noor was living in Amal's house. That's what they, Amal dio a entender, y también Marwin, pues. Mm-hmm. Faleh Almaleki was now the primary suspect. Mm-hmm. Detectives were able to pull records and find the license plate to the vehicle registered under his name, which was a silver Jeep Cherokee.
Dude, pero como, o sea, qué huevos de viejo, like, dude, run over your own child, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it that you're angry, but...
No, pero wait, I don't know.
I don't know. Like you said, sometimes we think about things and we still, it just, no calcula, pues, no.
No capta, no conecta.
No conecta, no.
No. They made their way to the Almalekis' house, but decided to surveillance the property for the time being since they didn't know if Faleh was in the home, and if he was, they didn't want to spook him and cause him to leave or flee. While waiting, they reviewed his phone records, which showed that he was in the parking lot of the DES for 46 minutes prior to the incident.
He was waiting for her.
He was waiting for them.
He wanted to hurt her.
He was going to do something.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
If it wasn't run over them, if it wasn't
chasing them with the car.
He was trying to scare them,
Yeah. So he had been waiting, like we just said, for Amal and his daughter, Noor. The phone records also showed that he did call his wife, Sahim, and oldest son, Ali, before and after the accident or the incident. Because remember, adentro, they would say that he was on the phone. Mm-hmm. After the incident, he had spoken to them again, which I just said, and other relatives, such as a cousin named Amal Almaleki. With more information...
Para decirle que he had run him over, okay?
We'll find out later a little bit more. With more information in hand, 3 detectives made their way to the Almalekis' front door and knocked. So,
and the car was still there? Like, no se había ido
no lo miraba en el carro.
Oh,
no lo miraba
okay,
en el carro. So Ali opened the door. And he stated that his mom was not home and was in California for work. Ali, now in the presence of 3 detectives, como que se miraba como que like guarded. Mm-hmm. Como que no quería abrir la boca. But answered questions a huevo, When asked when was the last time he had spoken to his dad, he stated that it was mid-morning when they had gone to Best Buy together and that he hadn't heard from him since, which they knew was a lie.
Dude, pero my deal is like, ¿y todavía le va a tapar el hijo? Maybe he was scared también. Like, shit, if he did that to my sister, what's he going to do to me?
Right.
Pero I'm just like, not me. I'd be like, nope, he ran over my sister. Like, I guess because I have that connection with my siblings to where I'm like, no, I don't give a fuck. You're not fucking with my sister.
Yeah.
Like, or my brother or whatever it is. Pero, like, he's just over there lying como si nada.
After speaking with Ali, investigators didn't leave the area. They still stayed around and kept surveillance as they were working to locate Faleh. So not long after, Ali comes back out and tells one of the detectives that he actually had spoken to his dad around 2:30 p.m.
Okay, ya le cambió.
But couldn't recall what they talked about.
Bruh.
And he also stated that he had seen the coverage about what had happened on TV. And he wanted to know where Noor was.
He wanted to know if she was alive.
The detective stated that he couldn't give him that information just yet.
I wouldn't either.
With Faleh nowhere to be found and their proximity to the Mexican border, detectives contacted Border Patrol and put out a bulletin with Faleh's picture, vehicle he was driving, and its license plate, to the media, and to be on the lookout for him, Mm-hmm. It wasn't until the following day, October 21st, that they were able to speak to Saham Almaleki. She was returning from work in California. She stated that she didn't know what was going on, only that it was a family issue, but didn't know the details.
But I have a question. So the mom de Noor era la que trabajaba. So why was it okay for her to work, but not the daughter to work?
Because she was supposed to be taking care of the family.
for the mom to work.
Mm-hmm. So detectives informed her of those details, and Saham's response was, quote, "This woman is a liar. This woman is dirty. Her family is dirty." She was referring to Amal Khalaf.
But they haven't told her that he ran over her daughter too?
Yeah, they gave her all those details that happened.
Oh my God. So le valió verga. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Since Amal was separated from her husband at the time, they viewed her as an unfit mother, and essentially because of her, everything happened.
Because she was separated from her husband? Okay, God.
They consider her dirty and
all right, girl. You're taking it too far.
They asked her about Falah's location, and she stated she didn't know, but that she did want to know where her daughter was and how she was doing.
No, bitch, I wouldn't give you no fucking information, because now you know very well that it was your husband. You know that.
So not knowing if she was somehow involved and was covering for her husband, detectives told her that until they knew where Falah was, they weren't going to release Noor's location.
As they should not. And you know what? I support these people, these Arizona PD detectives.
Saham got very upset and said, "Why? Am I a danger?" And investigators told her that maybe she was.
Yeah, we don't know who you are. And by the reaction of what you're saying, when we're giving you the information about your daughter being...
You're talking shit about Amal and blaming her.
How do I know that you're not a danger, bitch?
So when she said, "I am a Muslim. We can't kill our daughter." And they told her
She said, what? Say that again?
"I am a Muslim. We can't kill our daughter."
Can't.
No.
Oh, because it sounds like you're saying can.
No, can't.
Okay.
They told her that her daughter was close to dying, and she said, "Close to die." To her, "Thank you, Amal. Thank you."
So she's blaming
Amal for what happened. Yeah.
Okay. So So Amal was walking next to your daughter, and she got onto the car, and she's the one that ran over your daughter. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what.
She kept on screaming, "I want to see my daughter. I want to see her." And when detectives continued to tell her no, she eventually hung up. That same day, PPD issued a warrant for Noor Almaleki for 2 counts of aggravated assault. Unfortunately, word traveled fast, and somehow Noor's family found out in which hospital she was, and they made their way over there. Since investigators believed Noor was still in danger, they decided to place extra security at her door.
They don't deserve to know where she's at, honestly, because the brother is lying for the dad, and then the mom is acting like it's this lady that had nothing to do with it. You can't take the responsibility of your husband being psycho.
Yeah.
Then you know what? You don't deserve to know where she's at.
Since there wasn't any evidence really against Saham, investigators had to let her see her daughter. Since detectives weren't getting any information from the Almalekis, they turned back to Marwan to get more information as to why Falah would do this, besides him just fucking blaming Amal for everything. He stated that there was a specific situation that really enraged him, and he never got past it.
Oh, really? Okay.
So back when Noor was 17 or 18, so December 2007, during her senior year of high school, Falah pulled her out of school and told her that she needed to go visit a sick family member back in Iraq.
Okay.
When Noor arrived in Iraq, she found out that there was no sick relative. Her dad had lied to her and had actually arranged a marriage for her there.
Shut the fuck up. So she was just going to get to Iraq and be like, "Oh, you're getting married?"
This arranged marriage involved picking between 5 older men that appeared to have possibly been relatives of Falah.
That is
disgusting.
Not okay.
I mean, arranged marriage, girl, I can't even get into all that right now. You know, with all this caffeine in me, girl.
The caffeine, and it's hot in here and shit, all kinds of shit. Because you know we're burning up in this garage for y'all guys.
A few months later, Noor returned back to Arizona from Iraq. And according to Marwan, she never revealed how everything turned out. I wasn't able to find any concrete answers either as to if she got married or not. Some reports stated that she did get married but left the marriage, and others say that she didn't go through with it at all and just returned home. But either way, that was wrong, according to her family.
Oh, yeah, according to her family, yeah.
After her return, her relationship with Falah continued to deteriorate. In his eyes, it brought complete dishonor to the family that Noor left the marriage that she was forced into. So soon, detectives...
I'm speechless. Wait, and this never happens because I can speak to the fucking tree right here.
You never want to offend nobody's culture, right? Because I'm not sure
because our culture is not perfect.
It's different. I mean, everybody's is different. But like arranged marriages, like that's never.
They're probably going to pay him. That's why. they're probably going to give him money because that's what happens a lot of the time.
So soon detectives learned that Falah had diabetes and he needed his medication, right? So they thought that he possibly tried to fill a prescription before he went on the run. See, I wouldn't have thought of that. Would you have thought of that?
Yeah. But that's just me because I would be like, diabetes? Okay, you need meds.
But how do you know you need to know, like, even think about, does he have any conditions? Like,
no, I wouldn't have thought about, like, finding out his medical record. I mean, his medical records. But if they would have told me, oh, he has diabetes, he's going to have to take
fill a prescription, yeah. So detectives put this information out to maybe, like, a local pharmacy. Yeah. And asked them to be contacted immediately if Falah did submit any sort of
if you're the cops, you can do that. Because I can call over there and be like, I'm calling from this
a possible
office.
Murder. I mean, you never know.
Like, let's say that I'm calling for the doctor, and I'll be like, I'm calling from so and so's office. Then I need to know if this prescription has been picked up or not. You can go as far. You imagine the police being like, okay, y'all need to tell me if this man comes in.
Yeah, and they actually wouldn't have to wait for long because the following day, on October 22nd. Remember this to Amal and Noor. This happened on the 20th.
Yeah, so this is 2 days.
So on October 22nd, they were notified by a Glendale pharmacist that someone picked up a prescription for Noor Almaleki. Mm-hmm. It wasn't him, but instead a young man of Middle Eastern descent and a woman wearing a veil.
Let me guess.
Ali and Saham.
Yeah.
This led detectives to believe that they were aiding him in him going on the run, you know?
Fuck yeah.
So on October 26th...
They need to go to jail.
The Almalekis were visited again by the detectives for a follow-up interview and confronted them about the medicine pickup for Falah. Saham and
porque no sé, el señor no quiere, he doesn't want to have kidney damage. So he has to get his medication. Like, dude, you just ran over your daughter twice and you're worried about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit, but I get mad. So, you just ran over your daughter twice. But you're worried about your fucking insulin. Okay, I see.
Pues tampoco no se quiere morir.
No se quiere morir el compa, pero sí quiere matar a la pobre muchacha. Okay.
So Saham and Ali admitted to picking up the medication, but stated that they had thrown the pill bottles out of the car window.
Yeah, right.
I don't know where, or if the plan all along was for them to do that, and Falah was just going to pick them up somewhere, Quien sabe. Saham maintained that they didn't know where he was.
Okay.
Saham continued to blame Amal for what happened. She added that essentially it was karma since Amal, the matriarch of a family, was involved with drug dealers and thieves.
Wow. Okay, bro.
In contrast, she said about her family, they had a good family. Ali was even like, no, Mom, we don't.
Like, this is not normal.
Yeah. Like, at least, maybe... Let's not play here like that we're perfect because we're not, you know?
Not. Mm-mm.
Again, the detectives didn't get much information besides just that. But later that same day, Ali met with one detective at a Glendale restaurant and gave them more details about what he spoke about with his dad that day on October 20th before the assault when he was sitting down at the DES office. According to Ali, Falah had seen Amal and Noor at the DES office and became very upset. And so Ali told him to go home. Later, Ali received another phone call from his dad telling him that he had run down Amal and Noor. But why, right? Like, we want to know why. And I know we've heard and we've discussed honor killings before.
Yes, we've actually
I think a couple of cases, if I'm not mistaken.
So remember the case that I did with the two little girls, que the dad también las iba a mandar to Middle East to marry them off. Y también el brother.
It was earlier in the show, yeah.
Yeah, it was earlier, and but we've heard this before.
Yeah. So what is an honor killing? According to Tahiri.org, an honor killing or honor crime is, quote, acts of violence, including murder, predominantly committed by male family members against female family members who are perceived to have brought dishonor on their families, end quote. In Falah's eyes, this is what Noor had done by continuing to reject the Iraqi customs and becoming, quote, unquote, Americanized.
But he didn't mention anything about the arranged marriage.
I think everything just kind of like piled up.
Okay.
Yeah. And not that brought, dishonor to the family. Yeah. Apparently, everything she did brought dishonor to the family. It didn't fall in line with...
You're breathing? Dishonor to the family. You're eating? Dishonor to the family.
Yeah. You woke up? Dishonor to the family. Again, detectives were frustrated that they hadn't been able to locate Falah, and they feared that if he made it to Mexico, he was going to try and find his way back to Iraq. And if he managed to do that,
there's no way we're going to get him.
They were never going to get him. They were like, if he fucking makes it over there, ya valió verga.
And what about, is she still alive?
We'll get there.
Oh, okay.
The next day, on October 27th, U.S. Immigration received a phone call from British custom officials at Gatwick International Airport in London.
What?
Informing them that they had detained Noor Almaleki.
In London?
Yeah.
How did he get out of the country?
He was going to be sent back to the U.S., they told them. And we'll find out.
What the fuck?
So the following day, on October 28th, so it had barely been like a little bit over a week since everything happened. Yeah. Investigators received a call from the Mexican.
Not the Mexican.
From the Mexican authorities in Nogales, Sonora, letting them know that they have found a Jeep in a mall parking lot. Mm-hmm. So the Jeep was in working condition, and after it was examined, it did have some human tissue and vegetation from plants and trees that were at the crime scene, and other visible damage consisting with hitting someone or something.
Well, the thing is, remember that they had put that aviso,
bulletin,
para que lo buscaran. So I guess they were looking for the Jeep too.
So the tissue that was found under the Jeep came back as a match for Noor. British Customs, like I just said, returned Falad to the U.S. and sent him back on a flight to Atlanta, Georgia, where the U.S. Marshals apparently have a port of entry for incoming fugitives. I didn't know that.
That's awesome. First of all. Second of all, I want to know what the flight is like when they bring somebody back.
Yeah.
Because I would be the fugitive. I would be like, so how's your day been? Like, I'll be the fucking idiot that does that.
I don't think you're allowed. Maybe you're not allowed to speak to anybody.
I know, pero I would be the...
But like, I wonder if on the plane también tiene que haber como like policía, right?
Or maybe they just use a particular kind of plane, I'm guessing. Yo no sé.
They said it was a Delta flight. I don't know.
Girl, in the middle of a Delta flight, nada más sentado allí. They probably got him on somewhere donde no había mucha gente.
Well, maybe it's like a specific Delta flight that's for fugitives.
Because I'm like, girl, I would be like...
mejor los meten a cargo.
I would be like, hey guys, how you doing today?
How you doing?
Can I watch this Netflix real quick? In la pinche Delta? Like... Fuck.
But I thought that was really interesting. I never thought of it like that.
I never thought of it like that either, yeah.
So when he made it to Atlanta, there he was met by U.S. Marshals, of course, and a couple of detectives from Arizona on October 29th. Mm-hmm. They escorted him off the plane and began to interview him at a customs office where he waived his Miranda rights.
Oh, because, according to him,
the U.S.
our laws don't pertain to him.
So detectives learned that on the same day, October 20th, Falad crossed the border into Nogales, Sonora.
So de Mexico le dio para allá?
Where he stayed in Nogales for 2 nights. And during that time, a stranger gave him $1,900 for his Jeep.
Bruh.
Remember, the Jeep was later found at the mall parking lot. He then checked into a hotel and called his cousin Jamel at 5:30. ¿Te acuerdas otra vez de Jamel? Mm-hmm. He then took a bus to Hermosillo. Mm-hmm. And then flew to Mexico City. Y luego from Mexico City, he flew to London.
¿Tú crees? ¿Todas esas chingaderas?
Mm-hmm. As far as Falad stating that he got $1,900 from a stranger for his Jeep.
First of all, nobody's going to pay you $1,900 for nothing, especially in Mexico.
In 2009. So detectives knew that was not the case. Yeah. And it must have been a relative that sent him that money.
No, it had to have been his wife or his son.
In medicine. And also a suitcase with clothes that he was found with when he was detained at the airport in London.
No, ma'am.
And they thought that it was his cousin Jamil que lo andaba ayudando.
No, I don't think so. I think it was his wife and his son were aware of it too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they were in the know.
Yeah.
But I think they knew that it had to be somebody else.
Yeah, I'll put all them motherfuckers in jail.
So they asked.
And you know what is weird? Because isn't she the translator for the army? Mm-hmm. La mamá? What's her name?
Seham.
Okay, so Seham is over here. Wouldn't you know better than to be breaking the law, bitch?
Bitch, nobody gives a fuck.
I'm just saying, you see? No? You wouldn't know fucking better? Like, bitch?
Pot calling the kettle black?
Yes, that's
how you say it, right?
No, I don't know, but it sounded like it was a good analogy, but I'm like, bitch, you know our law. So what the fuck?
So when they asked him why he had done it, he initially stated that it was an accident and didn't mean to hit them. Okay?
But you're in Sonora.
He said that he lost control of the vehicle. He said, quote, "If I want to kill my daughter, why would I kill my daughter with the vehicle? I have no problem with my daughter. This is not the first time she left the house. If I want to kill her, I go buy a gun. I know where they lived. I just lost control of the car. Okay. But based on the scene reconstruction, investigators knew that he was a lion.
He was
a lion.
A lion, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After further pressing him, he went from it being an accident to he only meant to drive close to them so he could spit on them. He said that he just wanted to scare them, not kill them.
Now, spitting on somebody over there in their culture, I'm not sure, Muslim, I think that's what it is. I'm not sure what they are, but that is like the lowest of the lowest. Like that's something that's a big no-no. You don't spit on people like that.
And if they do, there is because they're trash?
They're not even trash. Like lower than fucking trash. Shit. Like lower than roaches.
He maintained that it wasn't his intention to hit them and that he didn't plan anything and that he didn't want to hurt his daughter.
So then why did he run?
He says why. He loved her even though she had become, quote, again, too Americanized, which was wrong. God. He also blamed Amal for what happened and stated that she had, quote, stolen Noor from them. What? He added that the only reason he ran was because he was waiting to hear, I guess, if something grave le pasó a su hija, and if it had, he was going to end his life.
No, you should turn your ass in to the cops and not be in fucking London, bitch. No, he wasn't going to end his life porque llevaba medicina.
Yeah,
he was not going to end his life.
Porque si quería end his life, nada más no se hubiera tomado su medicina.
No se tome la medicina, señor. Yeah. Go into diabetic coma.
Yeah.
And you're good.
So during this whole interview, he was saying he loved his daughter. He didn't want to hurt her. Mm-hmm. But during the whole interview, he never asked about Noor or what her condition was.
No, he doesn't give a fuck about her.
He didn't even know if she was alive or not. Ni en cuenta.
Girl, please.
After some time passes, he eventually stated that he did run over Amal and Noor intentionally, but that it wasn't something that he planned, right?
I'm telling you, I don't think he was going to
He said that he just snapped in the moment and did it. Uh-huh. A detective asked him if his family was on his side, and he said that after this assault, some of the honor of the family had been restored. And he said, quote, "It's our culture."
So from now on, when I act a fool somewhere, I'm be like, it's my culture.
What's your culture?
I'm just going to be like, I'm acting a fool. It's my culture.
He gave the analogy of a house being on fire. Oh. Okay. He said, quote, "If your house has got a fire and just part of the house, do we let the house burn or do we try to stop the fire? Question mark. He admitted
First of all, why are you asking me questions if I'm the one asking you questions, motherfucker?
He admitted that Noor was a quote unquote small fire he was forced to extinguish. Later, while he was incarcerated awaiting for trial, his calls were recorded as they usually are, and in one specifically with Jamil, otra vez pinche Jamil, Falah said, quote, "Brother, talk to the lawyers and tell them that it was not intended to be a murder, connected to honor and dishonor, and I don't know, whatever. And an Iraqi is worth nothing without honor," end quote.
But you're not in Iraq.
And I just find that I mean, I'm not saying that it's wrong, but that your faith is so consuming that that's all that matters.
Yeah. I mean, and then at the same time, I mean,
then it's above your children and your family and
everything. Which, I mean, I get that. I mean, not get the fact that he did something like that, but I understand. I guess what I'm trying to say is I understand his stance on his religion and on what he believes in and stuff like that. I understand.
Where he's coming from.
Where he's coming from. That doesn't mean what he did was right.
No.
But at the same time, the logic is never going to be there. Like what you're thinking and you're saying, "Oh, this is what I'm supposed to do." No, dude, that doesn't make any sense.
And then I was reading about honor killings. I didn't look too deeply into it. And
no, you can go down a rabbit hole.
No, you can, but I was seeing that obviously that's very common in that part of the world, and that they usually, when it happens, and even sometimes it even happens here in the U.S. Well, obviously this happened here in the U.S., but honor killings, they usually do it con machetes and like knives and stuff.
Rocks.
Yeah, and
that's when I found about the honor killings was when I did that case on the two girls. I can't for the life of me remember their names. Pero the guy, the dad, he was like, I had to kill them. Yeah, because they were like out of whatever it had to happen or whatever. That's the one that I can't remember his name. But anyway.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really tragic and sad.
And maybe we don't understand because we don't have the mental
That's not something we grew up
that we grew up with. But not only that, but because of our culture being so different, then yes, but like I said, I could understand where he's coming from, because I mean,
that's normal
where they come from. And not only that, but a lot of the things that we do in our culture,
they see that it's wrong.
They see that as wrong, or as like, what the fuck are y'all doing?
Yeah.
You know? So I could understand that.
So Falah, of course, was arrested, and he waived extradition. So on October 31st, Peoria detectives escorted him back to Arizona, where he was charged, and his bail was set at $5 million. Now, remember, I stated that Noor had slipped into a coma, and sadly, she never regained consciousness. And she was pronounced brain dead. The doctors did have to speak to Saham, and she agreed to have Noor removed from life support.
I don't like her, Mom. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I don't either. Noor Almaleki died on November 2nd. I think it was right before noon, around 11:50 something in the morning. Now, after Noor died, detectives made their way to the hospital immediately to avoid any issues that wouldn't allow them to have an autopsy performed on Noor, since it's typically discouraged in Muslim traditions. And I was just I had brunch with my friend. She's from Pakistan, so she's Muslim.
Hey, friend.
And we were just talking about when her dad passed away, that they don't believe in embalming a body. And it was just a coincidence. We were just talking about that. And then, I stumbled upon this case. But you learn so many different things.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And she was telling us about their burial and how how they do things differently than here. And it was...
Well, I mean, it's the same way. Like I said, everybody does things differently.
Yeah.
And it's like, for example, and I know in a lot of the cities in Mexico, they don't, like, when somebody dies, they bury them quickly because they don't embalm.
Yeah.
So they're like, they have to be buried immediately. Now the culture of doing an autopsy in Mexico is kind of getting a little bit more open, but they don't do that.
And then she was telling me,
because nobody had the resources back in the day, now obviously, but
she was telling me that they just wrap them in like a white sheet, like they don't.
Oh, okay.
But you know how aquí, like they pick out clothes.
You can pick out clothes, yeah.
You like les ponen pintura and make them look like, But she was like, no, they just wrapped them in a white sheet, and that
it's closed. Right?
Yeah, she's
you
like,
can't see them.
Yeah, she said women are not allowed to see them. She said they just
Okay.
So it's just interesting that it just coincided with this case. Now I want to ask her. I want to mention this to her.
Mention that, or maybe she would listen.
Yeah.
To the case.
Yeah, I'll send it to her. So when they arrived at the hospital, of course, there was a slew of Almalekis standing by the ICU door donde estaba.
Now you said in the IC doo-doo. You just said doo-doo, bitch. Not the IC doo-doo.
I don't know how I purge this caffeine from my body.
No, you're not going to purge it. You're not going to purge it. Purge it.
También no puedes hablar.
No. But that's me all the time, bitch.
Sorry, it's not. I'm not supposed to be laughing, but I think it's hitting me, the caffeine.
I mean, she said large. I said large. I looked at her because she usually get that little babe, the baby
12
cup.
ounce. Yeah.
No, the little one.
It's 12 ounce.
There's at this particular place that we went to, they have like these little vasitos.
It looks like a sippy cup.
It looks like a sippy cup to a baby.
Yeah, and like so a Gerber, a Gerber with the sippy cup.
Yeah. So I was like, man, this hoe is getting the large. Pero yo dije, okay, she's really trying to get me for my money since she beat me, which she was the one supposed to buy me coffee, but that's another story.
Why would I buy you coffee when you're the one that was wrong?
Whatever, I wasn't wrong.
One of my friends owes me coffee también, so I need to cash that in.
Oh, can you cash that in, please?
Oh, yeah. I am.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when they, like I
Why
said...
Why nobody owes me coffee?
Tell your husband.
No, I don't want to talk to him.
When like I said, there was a slew of Almalekis standing by the ICU door donde estaba Noor's body. Ali told the detective that his sister's body was not going to go anywhere. He was like, you guys are not going to take her body. And again, this was a huge issue since an autopsy was crucial in the case against Falah. And Emmy's report would state that Noor's manner of death was homicide and that she died due to her injuries, right?
So then wouldn't they need, like, okay, I understand what Muhammad's saying, or what's his name, Ali? Excuse me. Why did I name him Muhammad? Ya le cambié el nombre a la chingada.
Dang, bitch, why are you being... why are you generalizing?
No,
them?
I wasn't. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I thought Muhammad and then I said Ali.
Muhammad Ali?
But anyway, But the thing is, isn't that can't they have like court order or something para la body?
Well, why are we in the dark?
¿Quién sabe?
Okay, so family members, like I said, were blocking the investigators from entering the room where Noor was, and so they called officers.
Not blocking, like, no, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you?
So they called officers to help manage the situation, and they informed the Almalekis that if they continued to cause a disturbance, they were all going to be fucking arrested.
They're all going to jail, bitch.
They're all going to jail.
They are going to jail.
A family discount.
Finally.
Family discount for
jail and put Jamal in jail, too, while you're at it, because of Jamil for accessory. Órale, también.
Por andar de alcahueto.
Sí.
So detectives, they were able to get to Noor's body. Mm-hmm. They even waited in the hospital morgue hasta que the ME's van came and picked up the body to make sure that she was able to be loaded and taken to the coroner's office.
The officers?
The detectives.
The detective. Yeah. I'm not surprised because what if they did like they busted what is that movie cuando se llevan los bodies and stuff?
Body snatcher?
No, not Body Snatcher. The Will Smith movie. Bad Boys, que los bodies were like with
drugs.
Se los llevaban. So, I mean.
Now, when the autopsy was performed.
Body Snatcher. What the fuck?
So, when the MEs, we just stated, the MEs report stated that Noor's cause of death was blunt force trauma and her manner was homicide.
But you said that her vertebrae was broken, so.
Yeah, she had severed vertebrae.
Yeah, that means she wasn't going to, pobrecita.
And I think what really. That he fucking ran over her with the Jeep, bitch.
Twice.
No, he hit her and then took her under the car, went over the car over her body.
Like dragged her.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean.
Can you ever be that mad? Obviously you can, but.
I don't think I can. I've been mad, but I don't think I could be mad enough to try to
and not
stab
just
somebody or
anybody.
Or anybody. I mean.
It's not worth it.
No. I just don't have that in my heart, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe because he was an older man, a lo mejor.
Still, y a lo mejor diabetes.
No, güey, no. ¿Tenía hambre el güey o qué? No.
No, pues even Noor told her friend, I've never met somebody so evil.
Yeah, it's because, imagine that when you have evil in your heart, you just have evil in your heart. I don't think that that's something that you're born with.
Because he is not a representation of every Muslim,
No, of course not. No, hell no. That's not what we're saying. I'm just saying what I'm saying is that
he was just evil.
He was just a bad person.
Yeah.
Like him in particular. Because what about the other people that are in their community? They didn't have to
do that.
You know?
So days later, Falah was indicted on the following charges. First-degree premeditated murder, aggravated assault, and leaving the scene of an accident. He pled not guilty.
Ay, hijo de la verga.
Now, Ali and Saham were not charged with any crimes since there wasn't sufficient evidence where they could prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they aided Falah in his escape. Now, Falah's trial began on January 24th, 2011.
I was fresh out of labor.
Or you were giving birth? You gave birth that day.
You said January 24th.
Oh, yeah, her birth.
Emma's January 23rd.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of somebody else. And it was actually
how many people you know are born on January 24th?
I remember an old friend's son, remember? He was born the next day. That's why I me los confundí.
No.
Now, it was actually, that case was the first honor killing ever tried in the state of Arizona.
Wow.
So the Almaleki family was backing Falah. The side of the court, his community was backing him.
You know what? And I feel I know that this is going to sound so mean, but that this should be, the honor killing should be charged or more in this country, because why are you killing people? There has to be some protection for these women. There's no way
there's work that people do to try to stop these from happening all over the world. And
I get that there's, I know that there's
and stop these arranged marriages and all that stuff.
I get that, but what I'm saying is
well, he's already going on trial for first degree premeditated murder. I mean,
what I'm saying is this. Okay, fine. This is the first time that we've had this happen in the U.S. But
in the state,
excuse me, of Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
So then I think that this should be happening more often. Somebody has to stop them if they're not afraid of.
But I guess you also have to prove that it's an honor killing.
That's what I'm saying. He said it wasn't. He said in his interview that he had done it because he was upset.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, what else proof do you want?
No, I'm talking about in other cases.
But what I'm saying, it should happen a lot more often. Is what I'm saying. because these women are like, they have to have, if they go back to their country, the same thing. If they do it here, the same thing.
Yeah.
So no, that's not fair for them
and
either.
I think like they don't get prosecuted
no,
for
they
it,
don't.
you know. So but there was somebody in court that testified for Noor on her behalf, and that was Amal Khalaf.
Yeah.
She testified, which you remember from that day, which is what I stated earlier. And along with her testimony and all the other evidence against Falah, prosecutors were hopeful that they were going to get justice for both women, and especially Noor, which
because
she
it's
had lost her
attempted murder
life.
también, you know?
The trial lasted 3 weeks, and then it was time for the jury to deliberate. It took them 3 days before they returned with the verdicts. On the count of premeditated murder, not guilty, but guilty of second-degree murder.
Okay.
Which was just pretty much that he didn't premeditate it, pretty much, but he did.
But he was in the parking lot for 46 minutes.
Yeah, but he thought about it like it happened that day. Because he was saying, I was just trying to scare them. I was just going to spit on them. You know what I mean? So he was also found guilty of 1 count of aggravated assault and 2 counts of leaving the scene of a serious injury. Leaving the scene of a serious injury accident. So Judge Ronald J. Steinlow sentenced Falah to a total of 34 and a half years in prison for all the charges. And after his verdict was announced, él empezó a llorar.
¿Por qué lloras?
And was apologizing to Noor, saying he was sorry. Y toda la cosa le salían los mocos.
Sorry? Sorry.
Sorry.
Noor is dead.
Now, Falah was serving his sentence at the Arizona Department of Corrections, but he actually passed away last year on November 10th of 2024.
I'm pretty sure that they didn't give him his fucking diabetes medication.
And that's the case of Noor Almaleki. Isn't that crazy?
Dude, I know that we keep saying that it's crazy, but then we go to the next one and we're like,
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Pero it never gets easier. Like, it never gets easier to listen to this shit because it's like unnecessary shit.
And I'm sure they hear it and they're like, oh, yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
It becomes, I mean, it's like we said, it's a part of their culture, but...
Well, let us know what you think about this case. Thank you so much, sister, for bringing that to us this week. Like I said, if you would like to follow us, you can at
Cafecito and Crime Pod. And if you would like to leave us a review and/or rate us, we would really appreciate it.
Send us a message.
Yes.
We'd love to hear from you.
Leave us a comment.
Anything.
And you can listen to us anywhere that you listen to podcasts, now including YouTube audio only.
We'll talk to you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.